After a wild start last week at Daytona, the drivers of the Mythic Metals Truck Series presented by Spark Racing League will be taking on a whole new challenge tonight at Rockingham. We'll have all 123 laps of this race tonight right here on Slingshot Racing Media. I'm Sky Shrek, and I'm joined up here in the booth by Logan Threlkeld and Kobe Jordan in the production truck. Logan, why don't you tell us a little bit about this track and where we're racing for the rest of the season?
Absolutely, Sky. Rockingham Speedway is a staple in the racing community. Opened up in 1965, nestled in the heart of the North Carolina Sandhills, originally known as North Carolina Motor Speedway. Here we find this 0.97-mile D-shaped oval. We're at 97 degrees on the track temperature right now, a little bit hotter on the ground than what we see in the air. A little bit of sunlight here on the asphalt surface is going to heat that temperature up as much as it can. Make this track nice and slick here for these drivers tonight. Sky, it's a difficult track You know, it's only got about 22 degrees of banking in turns 1 and 2, 25 degrees of banking in turns 3 and 4, but it is bumpy out there. As well as the straightaways, about 8 degrees down the front and the back stretch here. You got 123 laps on the night. We got a 32 car field at the moment, it seems, and Sky, we're seeing some pretty quick times out here already.
Yeah, some great drivers already setting some great lap times out here in this qualifying session. Right now, I want to give you a little bit of a look at where we'll be racing, not just this week, but kind of for the rest of the season, because we've got 10 races coming up here in Spark. We've got over the next few weeks here, I'm finding it on my page right now. They reconfigured everything before this race. There we go. It's Pocono next week. So that'll be a really fun one. It's one of the longest tracks on the schedule, just only shorter than Talladega. That's going to be really good. Kentucky also going to be a fun one. Milwaukee, Portland on here. We're going to go to a lot of very varied kinds of racetracks over the course of this season, which is going to make it a ton of fun. Right now, as qualifying wraps up, 30 seconds to go, it is Levi Cox with by far the fastest time right now over Chris Smith and Evan Pienta.
Yeah, about 0.2 of a second almost faster, and that is crazy to think about here at this track, just how much faster that 54 is in the qualifying effort. You have to wonder, will he be able to hold up that pace throughout the entirety of the 123 laps on the night? It's going to be a tall order, though.
And as qualifying is going to come to an end here, the drivers will get a quick 5-minute warm-up, and then after that 5-minute warm-up, they will go straight into the race. A little recap of last week here tonight. Chris Smith took the win at Daytona over Tom Lickert, who came home second. It was a great points night for him, and it's going to set him up really well coming into this week. Chris Smith, also a contender for that Xfinity Series championship last time around, so he'll be looking to try to steal this truck championship here in Season 4 to make up for the fact that he finished 4th last season. A lot of drivers out here looking pretty good going into this warm-up session. It's one last chance to make sure you got everything set up right, make any adjustments you need to, and then we'll be started here before too long for our second of 10 races this season.
Sky, a little fun fact for you here. Something I find very interesting. Rockingham Speedway was actually designed by the same builder who built Darlington Raceway, being Harold Brassington. So that was kind of the era there where you saw a lot of these odd-shaped and oddly driven tracks being built. But man, over the years, it has put on some of the best racing that you could ever ask to see.
And you mentioned it earlier, this track is pretty unique. It is really bumpy out here. This track closed in about the 90s, back when NASCAR used to run it. So it's got a worn pavement, it's got a lot of bumps, always has, all the way back since the original run of NASCAR at this track. I mean, you can just see it. We're on board right now. It is so tough to drive around here because that car is rattling on you all through the corner every time around. You'll see it back down again here in 1 and 2. It's just shaking. You're going up and down the whole time. That's Chris French we're watching right now as he tries to figure out how to manage those bumps, get some traction in these tires.
One thing that was nice to see, a lot of drivers able to put down some consistent lap times without causing too much havoc on the race surface. So we should be able to see some decent green flag runs throughout the night. And looking at some of the info gathered here, I believe we'll definitely see one stop here tonight, potential of 2 possibly.
And the tires are going to be a thing here all night because you only get 3 sets of them, 2 sets of them back in the pits. So even at a track like this with a lot of tire wear, you might want to come down and just try to take tires every time, but the limited tire sets and the limited fuel load means you can't really do that. You've got to be very smart about when you come down and put those tires on the car because, I mean, with all the bumps, the worn pavement, this is a track that destroys rubber. And if you're not careful on those 3 sets of tires, you might come into the final stint of this race with nothing left.
And although very worn, the fastest race lap here recorded was actually just this year, back in April in the ARCA Menard Series with a 22.847 Brent Cruz. Set the newest lap record here at Rockingham. So you can see where the pace between those new Gen 6 ARCA bodies can handle this track a little bit better than these trucks can, with about a second difference.
Yeah, we'll send it right down to the national anthem, and when we come back, we'll have your results from qualifying and the start of the race. We are back here, and the drivers are getting ready in just a couple seconds to hit the grid to start our race tonight. And once they're out there getting gridded up for this race, we'll be able to tell you who won the Evan Pienta Designs Pole Award and who qualified elsewhere throughout the field tonight. We have a full field, 33 cars registered now, late entrant there. It's going to be really fun tonight, and we're getting ready to go for qualifying in just a second. These drivers are all lining up on the pole tonight, with the Evan Pienta Designs Pole Award will be the 54 car of Levi Cox, Chris Smith to his outside in the 28. Evan Pienta rolls off one row behind his pole award in third in the 55. Brandon Ayers in fourth in the 16. Braxton DeWeese is always a contender. He'll roll off fifth in the 15, with Derek Smith crashed on the last lap from second last week, rolling off sixth in the 66. Johnny Rapp rolls off seventh in the 52. Rye Jones eighth in the 91. And then it will be Brian Brobst in the 11 in ninth. Scotty Phillips in the 29 in 10th.
Back behind our top 10 is the 5 of Robert Brobst, taking up the 11th starting position next to the 3 of Dylan Lebeau. The 00 of Matthew Karakoff in 13th, next to the 80 of Rob Liedl. Max Cost in the 63 starts out in 15th on the night, next to the 87 of Clay Sampson. Then there's the 13 of Jake Mackey in 17th, next to James Danforth in the 88. Last but not least in our top 20 is the 84 of Laura Wiseman, next to the 60 of Steve Vest.
Outside your top 20 tonight will be Paul Hahn in 21st, Sean Mulholland 22nd. James Barker rolls off 23rd, Aiden Neese 24th. Last car to set a quality time was Jacob Phillips in 25th. Chris French will roll off 26th tonight. Chase Berry 27th. Tony Caputo 28th. Zachary Mitchell almost won last week. He'll be 29th. Tom Lickert second last week in 30th. And rounding out your grid tonight, your last 3 cars are Paul Thomas, Nathan Gentry, and Dade Grajewski in 33rd. Everybody's lined up, ready to go here. We're going to have about one more pace lap, and then these drivers will be turned loose for 123 laps here in the Cody Glenn Cox Beer Talkin' 123 at Rockingham. Lights on the pace car are about to go out for this time around. What are you looking forward to, Logan?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what this 54 can do. It only makes sense for the Cody Glenn Cox Beer Talking 123 for his brother Levi Cox to start out here in the pole position. kept an eye on him in practice. He was bad fast out there, and he showed it with a extremely, well, just a better all-around qualifying effort than everybody, with about that 0.2 second difference over second place. So keep an eye on that 54 all race long. If he can keep it up here in the front, I would expect to see him up here for a podium position at the end.
Yeah, it was really shocking because the gap from Levi Cox back to Chris Smith was the gap from Chris Smith back to about Dylan Lebeau in 12th. He dominated that qualifying run. He was so much faster, and he's got to have some confidence going from that quali lap and from also being the fastest in both practice and the warm-up to try and take that into this race and make a good run for the lead. Pace car is off. Green flag is out at Rockingham. Tight racing all throughout the field, but as we might expect, Levi Cox is gone in the early stages of this race. Pienza's gotten up to second around Chris Smith, who has dropped back to third. First side-by-side battle is for P4. Almost a 3 wide there, but Brandon Ayers got clear of Derek Smith and Braxton Deweese. Deweese is struggling on that bottom. Might not be the fastest lane right now. Some of these cars who are running a little further up the racetrack, like Ayers and Smith, making pretty good time, and Deweese is going backwards in a hurry.
Deweese coming into the season with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Came up short last season in the Xfinity cars on Wednesday nights. Looking to regain some momentum here early on into the new truck series. See what he can do on a whole different kind of racing strategy whenever you move from those Xfinity cars to the trucks, and a whole lot different racing schedule as well.
Yeah, Rockingham is the new track here. It's a very exciting one because, like we mentioned, it's so bumpy, it's so tight. It's one of the hardest tracks to drive on the whole surface. As you see the 84 Laura Wiseman there scrape the wall off the corner. It can be really, really tough to navigate this place, and you've seen that already. This is Jake Mackey in the 13. This is up the inside of that 84 car. Will be for 18th if he can make the pass, but he'll fall back to 19th, and we're still side by side behind this battle. James Barker and Aiden Neese are going at it for the last spot in the top 20 here, and it looks like with Barker loose off the corner, Neese will take 20th.
Neese has a lot of ground to make up, already up 4 positions from that 24th starting spot. See if he can work his way up through the rest of the field. See that 45 up in the top 10 at some point if he can keep the pace he's on right now. Now we're looking here at the 3 of Dylan Lebeau. He's trying to make up some ground on the 29 of Scotty Phillips just ahead. He's got the 5 of Robert Brooks in tow just behind. A lot of really tight driving here.
These cars can get really tight when you go over the bumps because we've seen a couple cars in the wall already. Almost down on the apron there for that 3 car of Dylan Lebeau working out of turn 2. Trying to get anything he can to close himself up to the 29 of Phillips. I feel like we've seen a couple different lines already. We've got cars like Deweese who have been running straight on the bottom all race. Back up here with Ayers, we've been seeing cars run a little bit higher, about half a car width off the bottom. To Derek Smith back there running about a full car width off the bottom. A lot of different lines being ran in the early stages of this race as cars try to find a way to avoid these bumps and keep their tires fresh for the later portion of this run.
The different lines being used, it's part of the strategy to find the cooler track temperatures. It's also a little bit of an inexperience, I'm sure. A lot of drivers, tend to overlook Rockingham Speedway whenever it comes to the official side of the iRacing service. So it's cool to see whenever we get some leagues that are participating at Rockingham throughout a season. It always puts on fantastic racing no matter where you're at.
This is a track for drivers who really like a challenge, and I think those are the drivers who we're going to see come through the field. Right now, that driver is Levi Cox. Another driver tried to win the Xfinity Series last year. Came up just short. Was 3rd or 4th by the end of that. He's off to a good start here tonight. We talked about him last week as maybe a threat to steal this Xfinity Series, with every previous winner of the Xfinity Series and Jacob Bradley and Justin Wilson not being able to race this season. Levi Cox could be a contender to fill that hole and try to get his first championship here in the Spark Racing League Truck Series.
Starting off this race with a massive pace, nearly a full second ahead within 10 laps to kick this one off. You know, the one thing that the 54 doesn't want to see, if he can hold this pace out here today, is that yellow flag. That is the worst case scenario for the 54. Evan Pienza would love to see it, as he was able to gain that spot over Chris Smith. Gets up to the second position early on, but unable to gain any ground right now on the 54.
Yeah, Cox has done a great job to manage this race in the early stage and hold that lead over the 55 car. Couple battles starting to form further back. No one's side by side, though. This is a track where everyone kind of staying single file for now. Looks like they're not trying to push too hard, maybe wearing out their stuff too much. Couple drivers have been making moves through the field, though. Aiden Neese is the most foremost of those cars and is number 45. He has gone +6 from the start of the race, up from 24th to 18th back there. A couple other cars in the back. Chris French in the 53 from 26th to 22nd. So we have some cars who are pushing, who are willing to move it up through the field. Right now, haven't seen too many changes in positions, but I think that'll certainly change as these tires wear. The different strategies start to play out here.
One thing to keep in mind, too, Sky, is that 85% fuel load capacity. That really changes things up whenever you have drivers trying to plan out pit stops for green flag conditions. By my calculations, don't hold me to it, but I think that would give us about 55 to 65 green flag laps.
Likely would. That's similar to what we had at Daytona, where the fuel load was just shy of halfway, and we kind of saw some fuel saving open up for cars to try to make it. Might be a similar situation here tonight. If we get a pretty long green flag run, some cars could be saving at the end of the runs to try to make it to the end. Into the wall there a little bit is that 14 car, Tony Caputo, and we got a car around. It's Clay Sampson in the 87, backwards on the front straightaway.
Luckily, you got a good view of that one right as it happened, Sky. Nobody else really involved in it. A little bit of contact here with the 88, sends the 87 sideways, but other than that, no other drivers get mixed up in this one.
Yeah, that was contact from the right front of James Danforth. Great job for Clay Sampson to save it. And then coming into this wreck, this is a 6 car, Dave Grajewski. He just kind of spins it coming up on it. Doesn't hit anything, but that's definitely going to eat his tires up. He might have to pit there and put on a new set. Same with that 87.
Maybe a little bit too much rear brake bias on that number 6. Locked up the rear, slid it around just enough. You know, it's still very early to go ahead and burn one of those sets of tires, Sky. As you mentioned, only 3 sets available tonight. Only 2 over the wall, so that'd be a tough strategy call to make. Yeah, if I'm in the condition where he's in, I'm probably going to stick out there as long as I can and extend the life of these tires as much as possible.
We are going to have a couple takers back there on pit road. It's Matthew Karakoff coming in. Jake Mackey also down the pits. Tom Lickard in the 99 has stopped in that pit stall. Not sure if he's had some kind of issue or if he got some damage somewhere in that, but we're gonna try to figure out what's going on with that 99. 39 car also coming out of the pits there. That's Sean Mulholland. Couple cars did take the opportunity to come down pit road there, put some tires on it. Other names include, as we mentioned, Matthew Karakoff. It'll be Jacob Phillips down there, Steve Vest, Paul Hahn. Both look like they took 2, along with Jake Mackey.
Looking back further through the replays here, Sky, doesn't look like the 99 of Lickert had any issues, but he did bring it down immediately, I believe, while the pit lane was still closed. So serving a little bit of a penalty there, but he's past the time frame for that penalty to be served. Looks like he is now rolling out of pit lane, however, but I believe the 99 is going to be 1 lap down now at the back of the field. Yes, he is.
He did about a lap before the caution, scraped the wall all on his own, but it didn't look like it was that big of a hit. So I wonder if that hit kind of broke something on the car, gave him some damage that he had to come down to fix. Because while it didn't look too bad, looks can be deceiving at a track like this when it comes to the wall here. We're lined back up, and the lights on the pace car are back out up at the front of the field. It'll be Levi Cox and Evan Pienta leading them to the green once again as we head down the back straightaway here. Pienta is going to be on that inside line. Cox has opted for the outside. Try to get a better launch down into one. Evan Pienta, don't think we've seen him lead too many laps here over the last few seasons. This will be a great chance for him. Try to move his way up through the field. It'll be a great chance for Levi Cox in the race sponsored by Cody Glenn Cox to get the win there for his sponsor. Coming out of turn 4, the pace car will come down onto pit road here. Not far from there to the green flag. Levi Cox is off. Green flag out on lap 20.
A massive jump coming from the outside lane there. The 54 commanding lead already into turn 1.
Oh yeah, he's gone for sure. We're going side by side back for third. Last week's winner, Chris Smith, trying to get around Brandon Ayers in the 16 car, and he will get that move done. Derek Smith back there, a couple spots back in 6th. Johnny Rapp in 7th. We're side by side with DeWeese for that 6th position. Johnny Rapp in 8th back there. Here comes Ryan Jones on the top, trying to make this move work. Let's see if he gets it. He does. I think the top line is the way to go on these restarts. We've seen a couple cars make some moves there on cars who got stuck on the inside.
Now, when the leader doesn't get as good of a jump as you would hope on that inside line, it certainly sets things back. We were nearly 4 wide coming down the backstretch after the restart. And sideways goes the 3 and the 5. It looks like they're going to keep it going straight, though. They recover and keep the green flag out. Contact made between Robert Brobst and the 3 of Dylan Lebeau. Now Brobst sideways on the bottom of the track.
We're going to get a replay there and figure out how that happened. Let's see. So this is the 5 of Robert Brobst right here. Coming out of the corner, he has got in front of him, that is the 3 of Dylan Lebeau. He's going to... Oh, he gets loose trying to avoid Brian Brobst, and that checks him up into Robert Brobst, who then tries to save it, still trying to save it, can't hold on.
He nearly got away with it, got down to the apron and out of the way. I wonder if he got a little bit of an extra assistance there at the very end.
He did for sure. There was another car, I couldn't tell who it was, who came in behind him and gave him a little bit of a tap there afterwards. Hope that car doesn't have too much damage. It didn't look like it was too big of a hit. And I'm not seeing anyone extra on pit road here who might have been in that car. Sean Mulholland is in the pits, but he was not the car involved in that, so... we'll see.
It was the 80 of Rob Liedl who did get into the back end of Robert Brobst, and that's what kind of finished off the 5 there. Yeah, we've got heavy damage here. Not sure what happened to this driver.
That is Sean Mulholland right there in the 39. I'm not sure what happened. We're going to have to take a look back at this. Okay, so this is in this accident. Sean Mulholland is going to arrive on the scene. Oh, he gets checked up there, hit by the 56 car, and Jacob Phillips turned down into the inside wall.
Phillips is going to have a little bit of damage on the front end, but not nearly as bad as what the 39 of Sean Mulholland suffers. Looks like we've got the 5 of Robert Brobst. Very slow on the bottom of the track coming down the backstretch. Not sure what's going on here. Looks like he's letting some drivers pass. Maybe... it's surely still under power. There we go. Finally back on the accelerator. See if we can gather some information from race control on that one.
We're about a fifth of the way through this race now on lap 26. It's always said in NASCAR, cautions breed cautions, and I wonder if we're going to have something similar here tonight. These drivers are back too wide under the pace car, getting back ready to go again. So they're going to hope that they don't get another caution and we can get some green flag laps in.
Well, we've gotten 2 under our belts here now within the first 26 laps of this race. There's Robert Probst trying to work his way back up into the field here on the bottom of your screen, up coming down the back stretch, but this guy there now into turns 3 and 4. He'll sort himself in line next to the 52 of Johnny Rapp.
He will. The pace car will also pull off out of 4 here on, it'll be lap 27 when we go back green. Same order as last time, except this time Levi Cox has chosen the bottom. We'll go back green, and it's another great jump for the 54.
No surprise there. Choosing that top line certainly being a big factor right now for the 54 machine. But it's an all-out battle right behind him between Rye Jones and Evan Pienta for that second-place position, side by side down the backstretch. Jones on the inside, Pienta on the outside. He's going to lose a little bit of momentum. The 91's going to get around.
A lot of crazy racing going on in the back there. Cars fanned out too. Trying to go 3 wide even a little bit. Up here, this is the move for 5th. It's Brandon Ayers. It's Derek Smith in the 66 right there. This is for 4th. Oh, look at that. We got a couple cars swerving off the wall in the background. It is chaos all through this field. Chris Smith now going to try to get up with Derek Smith and make that move for 5th back here, or back up front here in the field. Braxton DeWeese is trying to make the move now under that 16 car for 7th. Good racing all over the track.
So a little bit of contact there with the wall coming through the tri-oval area right across that start-finish line, but still side by side now as Chris Smith looks to the inside. Derek Smith still up on the outside here. Smith on Smith, so that doesn't really help me at all.
Yeah, we got Derek up there in the 66. We got Chris in the 28. Look at how many cars are getting loose off too there, trying to dodge that wall. Happened again there towards the middle of the pack. This is side by side a little further back. We got the 84 of Laura Wiseman, the 87 of Clay Sampson going at it for P15 at the minute. The top is a little faster on the restarts though. Clay Sampson will get around pretty nicely on the top in that 87 car. Looking a little further up, we've got a side-by-side battle right up there. I believe that is James Danforth in the 88. He is all the way on the top as we were 3 wide for a second there with Chris French in the 53. We're trying to go 3 wide again. Coming out of this corner, that is Matthew Carrico from the 00 down on the bottom. They'll get that sorted out, but we're still side-by-side for 13th.
Sky, we have our first resignation from the race on the night as the 39 of Sean Mulholland has brought it behind the pit wall. Right now, looking at the 63 of Max Cost, who got loose off of turn number 2, brought it down to the apron, down the backstretch, now starting to gather back up some speed, but Cost going to fall back to the 19th position. He'll be looking to hold on to top 20.
Never a good feeling to drop that 9 spots there, especially when you don't get a caution. You've just got to keep racing for it there. He is going to dip almost down onto the apron there in an attempt to get around that 14 car, Tony Caputo, on the top. He's still fighting with that car. The high line is just a little better in the few laps after these restarts, and even if a car might be a little slower than you, they can still hold pretty good pace out there.
Looks like a really good battle forming up here for around the 7th position. Brandon Ayers, Brian Probst, side by side, nearly made contact down the backstretch right around the entrance of turn number 3, but they're still going at it here as Brian Probst does get a little bit of momentum here. Oh, nearly contact for the 11. He saves it.
Aiden East checked way up, trying to make sure he didn't get involved in that, but that is going to cost him 10th place to the 00 of Matthew Karikoff right now. He'll move that car up to P10, clear that 45 car, who's now got James Danforth threatening behind in the 88 for 11th. Those are all cars who've moved up a lot of spots. Nice is up 24th to 11th, plus 13 this race. Danforth plus 6, 18 to 12. Chris French plus 13 as well, 26 to 13. Cars making some good moves right now, and we're side by side back there again.
I don't think this battle for this mid-pack is going to go away anytime soon as Scotty Phillips gets around the 16 here, utilizing that bottom line. Oh, the 55 of Pienta, big time sideways in front. It's going to be 3 wide down into turn number 3. Pienta loses 2 spots down the backstretch. The 16 still hounding the back door of the 29. Scotty Phillips, he's got to defend this position right now.
He might lose another position here because here comes Matthew Karakoff on the inside looking for 8th. That car's come alive here in this second run, and he will get clear. Pienta sight set now on Brandon Ayers up there in 7th. Now it's going to be a battle for 9th. This is Aiden Neese trying to get up the inside of Evan Pienta in that 55 car at the minute. Neese going all the way up through the field. Pienta doing the opposite direction and sliding backwards. A little bit further up the field right now. Rye Jones slowly catching up to that lead car of Levi Cox in the 54. That 91 machine has been pretty fast. He was 2/10 up last lap. He's going to be a little slower this time around. And he will still be faster than Levi Cox, but it'll be slower than his last lap of 24.991 for Jones, 25.005 for Cox. Jones is loose off the corner there because he is riding the Kyle Larson line all the way on the wall there to try to make speed.
A little bit further back, Evan Pienta under fire for that 10th place position now, falling out of the top 10 is Chris French in the 53, now catching up to Aiden Neese. It's a side-by-side battle back there between a couple cars. We've got Neese, French, Johnny Rapp, Evan Pienta starting to look to surge back up here into the top 10. Just to take a little bit of time, let those tires come back down off the temperature. They're certainly burning up after those slides we saw the 55 suffer.
Yeah, and at a track like this where it's so bumpy and the tires wear so fast, it can be really difficult to recover from one of those slides. Just one or two little kind of tire wear, tire heating slides there can really haunt you for the rest of the run. This is a battle for 4th between the two Smiths. It's Chris Smith in front of Derek Smith, 4th and 5th. That will not get confusing on our points graphic at all by the end of the season. Right now, about 2 seconds back of the leader there for that 28 car. The winner last week is looking to make it 2 straight if he can get it done here tonight.
Not only 2 straight, but Smith, well, Chris Smith absolutely dominated the first week of the newest seasons here within the Spark Racing League. Took home the preseason Clash win for the ARCA series on Monday nights. Took home the season opener here last week. It's a fun one to go back and watch there, Sky. That was a pretty incredible race last week. And the 44 of Karakoff into the wall. That allows Johnny Rapp by.
That double zero car catches a little bit of the wall. Was a really good one last week. We had a couple drivers who haven't had some good days today who are up front. Caution is out further back. Laura Wiseman, oh no, she's in the pits. I have no idea who caused this. There's no one slow on my ticker right now. We are going to try to find out who went around to cause that caution.
It looks like it was the 84 of Laura Wiseman, or a little bit of contact.
It was. That was it. She towed back to the pits so quick that by the time I went back and looked, she was already off the track. But she was the one who went around in that accident. Going to get a replay here. This is with the 3 of Dylan Lebeau coming off the corner. They're going to go down the straightaway now. This accident occurs coming off of turn 2. Lebeau is going to kind of get checked up from the cars in front of him into the side of Wiseman. Lebeau gets up into the fence, and Wiseman is turned down into that inside wall. That is a hard hit. That is going to end her race. And yeah, she was back in the pit. She knew it was done before she even got like 2 cars past her.
Looking at some different angles there, it looked like Wiseman got tight on the exit and unfortunately ended up sliding up the track into the 3 of Lebeau. That's what sent the 3 up into the wall, then back down into the passenger side of Wiseman. To the inside wall went the 84, and you said that was most likely a race ender on that note.
A lot of cars making pit stops right now. Not trying to fix damage, but they need tires on that car. A couple cars are going to cycle the front because they pit last time, but almost everybody else will come down. Levi Cox, Chris Smith, Evan Pienta, Brandon Ayers, Rye Jones, all running up front. They are all now down into the pit lane. I think it'd be easier to tell you the cars who didn't pit and the ones who did. Braxton DeWeese and Derek Smith still out on track on the tires they started this race on. Johnny Rapp, Matthew Karakoff, and Zachary Mitchell pit 20 laps ago for 4 tires, and they will stay out here. Everybody else, 6th on back, is on new rubber.
So it looks like the 15 of DeWeese and the 66 of Derek Smith both looking to make this a one-stop race. With the 3 cautions now that we've had, that fuel cell looking more and more promising for a one-stopper here tonight. That could be the difference maker. Could also mean a race breaker. Could be very crucial to see a late race caution for those 2 drivers who will still have an extra set of tires or 2 potentially at the end of this one compared to the rest of the drivers. It's a strategy already coming into play early on here, Sky. Not even halfway through this race just yet.
Yeah, I would wager that those 2 cars are betting on a pretty quick caution here, maybe about 5 or so laps after the restart. That'll get them a chance to pit and maybe make it good on fuel to the end. Because I think everybody who came down right there is going to need to come down again. One thing worth noting is that DeWeese and Derek Smith were both running right up at the front of the field there, so they didn't get to see that the whole pack came down behind them. Maybe thought more cars were going to stay out than actually did and kind of got caught out on strategy there as a result. Because the only buffer that they have back to the cars on new tires is cars on about 20 lap old tires. Pace car will pull off. We'll go back green on lap 49. Great jump for Braxton DeWeese.
That's crucial for the 15 to be able to control that. As you saw, the 66 of Derek Smith got loose trying to catch up to DeWeese. Johnny Rapp and the 00 of Karakoff already around.
We're 3 wide back here. Look at this. Couple rows of 3 wide, and it's not going to end well. Derek Smith around. That's about a 4 or 5 car wreck right in front of the field.
They're going to keep piling in here.
That's Derek Smith. That was Chris Smith. The 16 of Brandon Ayers also caught up in that. A lot of the cars who just pit for fresh tires taking some pretty heavy damage right there. You can see it already got 4 or 5 cars around. This starts up here in this 3 wide battle. It's Mitchell on the inside. It's Chris Smith in the middle. And Zachary Mitchell gets tight, collects both Smiths. The 29 goes around. That's Ayers. That's Rye Jones caught up in the middle of this. You're going to see some contact there for Aiden Neese, Evan Pienta, James Danforth, Robert Brobst into the inside wall. It just keeps going.
And even the 3, a little bit of damage there for Lebeau. A lot of drivers collected up in that one. You know, kind of started out with a little bit of a netcode issue. However, that was a lot of movement up the racetrack. I think that contact was inevitable.
Yeah, for sure. And that can be the issue of playing some tire strategy here. Some of these cars get a little tight on the alternate strategy, and it ends up ending in disaster for about 4 or 5 cars there. Some of the guys who didn't get caught up in that, like Levi Cox, pretty lucky they were able to make it through. Great for the 54 car because a lot of his toughest competition got eliminated in that. Rye Jones was second place for a lot of that last run. Chris Smith, Derek Smith, Brandon Ayers, they were all up there fighting for the lead, and now they're in the pits fixing damage.
Well, this kind of puts a wrench in things here, Sky. Now, if you're the 15 of DeWeese, you got a good launch. However, you got to keep an eye on that rearview mirror. He was not putting a whole lot of distance between himself and the drivers behind. He's going to elect to stay out on these old tires one more time. Very interesting call coming from the 15, but certainly looking to make it a one-stop race at this point.
I'm more shocked by the call coming from the 66 of Derek Smith, because not only has he not pit for tires yet, but he was in that accident. He hit the wall pretty hard there. Hit the wall, but he hit another car pretty hard there trying to get out of that accident, so he certainly got a little bit of damage, certainly got some hot tires from being involved in that, and he hasn't swapped them since the start of the race, so he is going to be really hoping he's able to get those tires cooled down under caution here so he can make a run at this. It is going to be lap 53 when we go back green. Braxton DeWeese will stay on pole, but it'll be Johnny Rapp on those 25 lap old tires, moving himself up on the front row to second. Another car on that strategy, Matthew Karakoff, will be in third tonight with Levi Cox. First car on new rubber on the outside of the second row in fourth. Pace car is going to come down right here at a turn 4. We'll see if Braxton DeWeese gets the same jump that he did on the restart last time. Entering the restart zone now, and he is gone for lap 53.
Rapp able to manage the tire spin as best as possible, but he is going to be side by side into turn 1 here. Karakov down on that bottom lane. Now the 54 here needs to be extra careful and make sure he navigates these guys ahead of him with, you know, as much awareness as possible. Levi Cox wants to win this race. He needs to finish it cleanly.
You can see from some of these angles how hard these drivers are working the steering wheels in these cars right now. It has been a really difficult race for a lot of these guys. We're going to go on board with Karakov, who's on one of those older tire strats. There you got some internet issues for Evan Pienta in front of him. This is the 35-lap old tires, and he is really having to work that steering wheel to keep the car under him and to keep himself up here in this fight against a lot of these cars with fresher rubber. He is favoring that high line right now. Same with Johnny Rapp on the same strategy. Cars on newer tires running on the bottom, and Levi Cox has caught up to Braxton DeWeese. That'll be a move for the lead here in just a second. And it'll happen right now. Levi Cox gets it done on those fresh tires. He is back to the lead of the race. Aiden Neese will follow through to P2.
I tell you what, Sky, I'm impressed by Braxton DeWeese's ability to fend off some of these fresh tire drivers for a couple laps there. You know, that shows why he was in contention for that championship last season. Really looking forward to seeing what the 15 can do this season. Try to come away with some hardware at the end of it all.
Absolutely. Side by side now for Pienta. Next car on those fresh tires working his way up to the field. It's a 47-lap difference between those guys who just pit and Braxton DeWeese in the 14, so that is explaining the pretty major speed difference. Still a hornet's nest back here in the middle of the pack, and there is contact that is already damaged. Rye Jones going for a ride off the nose of Dave Grajewski. Keeps it saved, though. He'll drop back through the field, but will stay green.
There's that extra heat in the tires that you don't want to see out here on Rockingham surface. But man, this hornet's nest up here, right around that number 11, right around that 10th position. Got Brian Brobst. He got around the outside of Derek Smith, now clear with some fresher tires. Still a whole lot more driving he needs to do to get up there. Evan Pienta out here all alone for the time being. Here goes the 88 on the bottom line. Here comes the 11 following suit.
Oh, big wreck!
Carnage on the backstretch. Mackey
that
involved.
Is Jake. Yeah, Jake Mackey. I saw Brobst was pretty caught up in that as well. Couple cars. Some more major damage right there in the middle of the field. Wrecks leading to more wrecks, particularly in this mid-pack area. You see this was right in front of Chris Smith, who was trying to recover from the last one.
It's that Mythic Metals number 13. Running that high line, got a little loose, but was able to collect it back up. There's the 66. He just gets slow in the middle. The 14 pushes up the track, makes contact with the left rear of Jake Mackey. Sends him hard to the inside wall, too.
You can see how loose the 66 was getting out of that corner, which kind of played a role in that. That is because he's on those 60-lap old tires. He's one of the drivers who was trying to stretch the pit strategy out as long as possible. How did Rob Liedl go around right there?
What has happened to the 80 here?
That is a very interesting place to be spun out. You're going to get a replay. Oh, he got dumped. That is the 56 of Jacob Phillips. That is not the first time I think we've seen Jacob Phillips hit a car under caution this race.
That'll be interesting to see what happens here. That's a big no-no, making contact under caution, especially whenever you send somebody to the inside wall. Not sure what the disconnect here was. See the rest of the field up ahead slowing down. Phillips tried to get out of the way, but I don't know. Maybe it's that raccoon on the hood with the glass of whiskey impairing some vision.
Yeah, maybe the whiskey isn't helping him, because he was the reason that Sean Mulholland got sent into the inside wall and ended up out of the race on lap 23. So that's two victims of Jacob Phillips so far this race, who will not be happy with him after this race, or probably for the rest of the season, for that matter. Coming back to 1 to go this time, Levi Cox is going to choose the top line. Aiden Neese, who's been a man on a mission tonight, 24-2, will line up on the inside.
And that's a whole lot of positions gained there for the 45. There's only one other driver that's even really close. I guess technically two. But the 53 of Chris French now up 21 positions. And back in the 13th position, it's the 42 of Paul Thomas up 19. So he's got a really good chance to collect a couple more and take home a hard charger award on the night.
Doing an update on pit stops on that last caution. About half the field came down. First car on 4 new tires is going to be Matthew Karakoff back in 14th. Everyone behind him is on new rubber. Max Cost also came down fuel only. He's in 11th. So that's your pit strategy situation right now. We'll see how that shakes out with 60 laps to go. We are not going to go green. Yeah, the caution has been extended there.
That is the 60 of Steve Vest. He got booted down to the inside wall.
Oh, the new aggressor this time. That was some situations there with cars trying to get lined up on the restart. I think Vest was trying to let a car pass, and then I think he tried to kind of cut down to the inside, and there was contact with Nathan Gentry.
Gentry in the 18. He stopped immediately after, and I thought it looked like he was missing that front bumper. But on board now with Gentry, and again, I'm not sure what the disconnect was here. Vest came down, Gentry held where he was.
I'm really not sure there. We're gonna go back green here now that we're not gonna have any cars wrecking through turn 3. Will be the same lineup. Levi Cox and Aiden Neese up here 1 and 2. Levi Cox is gonna be the one who leads him to the line as the pace car comes off. Will he get that jump on the restart? Yes, he will. He's already clear down to the start-finish line.
Couple drivers bringing it down pit road in the background there. One still trying to catch up to the rest of the field, but running away from it, it's Levi Cox and Aiden Neese. Already a half-second advantage over Evan Pienta, who sits all alone in third. Johnny Rapp, Chris French, James Danforth. I believe that's the 11 of Brian Brobst. Get those two numbers mixed up. Then we've got the 87 of Clay Sampson, brother Robert Brobst, I believe. Then Rob Liedl making up your top 10 right now.
Good run for Brian Brobst up here and Robert Brobst. Robert Brobst was in an earlier accident, took some damage, has had to climb all the way back up through the field to get that car in 8th. And he's going to come just up there in front of Clay Sampson in the 87. That was a little bit of a cutoff, but he makes it work to get that 8th position. Clay Sampson running it all the way up on the top while Brobst is going right back down to the bottom. He'll stay clear off that corner for P8. Brian Brobst is going to find a hole there. He'll get up in front of Chris French. That is for the final spot in the top 5. That 11 car making good progress. Next target, Johnny Rapp in the 52. Looking a little further up the field, Levi Cox is already gone. He's checked out from Aiden Neese, Evan Pienta, and there's already about a 3/4 of a second gap there from Pienta back to Johnny Rapp in the 52. Brobst running in 5th, French in 6th, and then side-by-side battle with Danforth and Brian Brobst back there, 7th and 8th respectively in that 88 and that 5 car. Brobst trying to get to the inside of the 88. Will he make it stick? Coming off that corner. It looks like he will, and while that's going on, we're side-by-side in front of them. Chris Smith up 20 spots, looking to make it 21 around the outside of Johnny Rapp here, down into 3.
Johnny Rapp holding that bottom line right now. Chris French way up on the high side, makes contact with the wall on corner exit across the stripe. French gets the advantage. Rapp looking to make a charge back to the inside. However, that inside line just not the favorite right now. I think Rapp needs to move it up about a half a car lane, find a little bit more grip there. Might be a little bit more beneficial for that Mission Barbecue 52, but here comes that 5, Robert Brobst. He's looking to challenge on the back bumper now.
Wrap looking to the inside. Still not happening on Chris French for now. Ropes is now going to be trying to pass that 52 car here in just a second. We're over the halfway point of this race. Caution is out further back.
It's the 13 and the 56.
Jacob Phillips. Yeah, Jacob Phillips, Jake Mackey around in that one.
Jake on Jake crime here.
I was going to start a little further back than that. It's going to start with some Jake on James crime coming down into turn 1. You're going to see James Barker here in the 77. Huge send into the corner of that 56 car. He comes up and clips Mackey, too, for the road. Airborne a little bit for that 56. Tom Lickert, a couple laps down now, heavily involved in that as well.
And that right front of the 56, I don't know if you caught that, Sky. That wheel was flopping all over the place. That is going to be a broken tie rod end and possibly an engine here as you see the 56 smoking now, trying to make his way back down the track. That's likely the end of the night for Jacob Phillips.
Yeah, he has had a very rough night out there. Not at all the race he wanted. Mackey is heavily damaged as well. That was a driver who was making some runs for race wins, maybe even a little bit of a run towards the front of the point standings back there in the Xfinity Championship, and he is going to have a bad time right now. The 56 car has driven through the pits. He might be just trying to get another lap on Mackey and hoping that if Mackey's out of the race here, he can get a point. That's my best guess on why he's still going around right now, because that engine is in pieces.
Honestly, not a bad play to try to make. You never know what your competitors are in with a situation like that. So, you know, Phillips can get just that extra point. It can mean the difference at the end of the season sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's something you do in officials sometimes. If you get in a wreck with a couple cars on the same lap, just try to run it as long as you can before you retire. Every point matters, especially with a couple guys back here like Tom Lickert, who got some damage in that wreck, but he's on the track 15 laps down just trying to get around whoever he can. Now it looks like the 56 will finally make that move into the pits for good here. Couple cars made some pit stops there. It looks like Dave Grajewski took 4 tires. Maybe Rye Jones, maybe James Barker. Aiden Neese and Paul Thomas both took fuel and I think right sides only. And Phillips is going to go to the pits again. We are getting ready to go back green here. And we are looking like we will go back green with the 56 on the racetrack. So that's going to be interesting to watch for those cars at the back of the field. We are still going to get the restart this time because I don't think anybody actually went around there. Pienta will lead him off. Same with that 54 car right there, Levi Cox. And we're going to see how this all shakes out down here into turn 1. Levi Cox is going to try to get the same jump he did last time. And he is off. Green flag back out, 50 to go.
Interestingly enough, that contact there that I called out, that was back on the 77 of Barker. So maybe a little bit of disgruntled attitudes here after that one, but back clean and green here. It's the 5 trying to challenge the inside of Braxton DeWeese up on the track. DeWeese is going to get the better drive off of turn 4 and across the stripe has the advantage. Just up ahead, look at Chris French looking to the inside. Evan Pienta hung out to dry on the outside. DeWeese drops it down to the bottom. He'll try to make that charge around for that 3rd place position.
DeWeese is coming back to the field now. He's on that alternate pit strategy where it looked like he was trying to one-stop this race. So he's on fresher tires than a lot of the cars up here, which is going to be a really big help for him coming down to the end of this thing. Tires are 15 laps fresher than Cox, French, and Pienta. 3rd place pretty comfortably. Levi Cox is opening up the gap, but if DeWeese has the speed that those fresher tires indicate, he might be able to get away with it here.
Well, Sky, we started the night with 33 making the field. Now we're down to just 29. 4 drivers making an early exit on the night. Zachary Mitchell, the most recent. Nathan Gentry a couple laps ago. Laura Wiseman after seeing her incident about 33 laps ago or so. Sean Mulholland being the first one. Very early in the race for Mulholland, around lap 20 or so. That leaves just 25 cars on the lead lap.
Oh, and we're about to have some less, because there goes Max Cost into the 45, Baden Nice, and somehow we work that out without a caution.
Max Cost coming down on the track on the 45 and nearly self-cleared across the nose, but he's going to lose a couple more positions. Ryan Jones gets by. Now we've got the 6 looking to take advantage. Dave Brajewski trying to make his way up through the field. Follows Jones and gets around Max Cost for the 14th position.
Yeah, those guys are going to be happy, and they're just still in the race at this point after that one. That could have gone so much worse for both of them if they didn't make 2 great saves to keep that thing going. Deweese has the speed right now on Chris French. He's trying to look on the bottom. We've seen all night that the top is a little bit faster on the first few laps after a restart, but Deweese is trying to get it done on the bottom. And it looks like he'll get clear out here. He'll slide up in front of that 53 car. Braxton Deweese on fresher tires in P2. No one has been able to break Levi Cox's dominance all race, but on a strategy call, that 15 might have a shot.
Braxton Deweese has a 14-lap advantage on the tires right now. He made it look easy around Chris French. Let's see if he can close that 3/4 of a second gap to Levi Cox and try to work that 15 up to that number 1 spot.
You can see that advantage right there on your ticker. You can also see the cars further back who are on entirely different pit strategies. Some guys pitting about 9 laps to go here to try to get the jump on these guys in the top 10. So as we come down now, we're at 40 to go. We've got 3 different pit strategies at play through the field, and it remains to be seen which one is going to work out. Right now, Braxton Deweese is the fastest car up here in your top 20, really. He is closing in rapidly on Levi Cox. That gap is already down to half a second between 1 and 2, and it's cut even further. It goes down by 1/10 that time around. 15 is going to get there sooner rather than later.
Don't look now, Sky, but Chase Berry in that 46 machine. We haven't talked about him a whole lot tonight, but he's up into the top 10, up 18 positions on the night, and catching up to Brandon Ayers and Clay Sampson. Looking to gain a couple more, get closer to that top 5 position for Chase Berry.
Been a good drive to the field for him, up 27th to 9th in that 46 car. Similar story to Aiden Neese, first car on that strategy of pitting about 10 laps ago. We mentioned it a few times, but he's 24 to 11 at the moment. Deweese has closed that gap massively. It is down under 0.2 of a second here for the lead of this race. To get side by side there with Ryan Jones. Here's Deweese. He is all over the bumper of Levi Cox, looking for a way around this 54 car. Levi Cox's only laps he hasn't led so far this race were on pit strategy. This is going to be the first time anyone has actually passed him all night. 85 laps in, Braxton Deweese has the speed. Can he find the line on the bottom to get around the 54 car?
It's going to be a tall ask here for Deweese as Levi Cox. Not an easy one to get around by any means. Don't forget about tonight's race sponsor, Cody Glenn Cox for the Beer Talkin' 123. You see it right there on the back of Levi Cox's truck. You can find some of his music there on a couple different platforms, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Search up Cody Glenn Cox Music. You'll find it all. And right now, Brother Levi is doing one heck of a job here, holding off Braxton Deweese with that tire advantage right now and running away from the rest of the field as Deweese now gets to the inside line. A little bit better this time. They're going to be side by side, but that top line just carries so much more speed.
I like the strategy from Levi Cox. If you're going to pass me, you got to give my sponsor a little bit of airtime there first. Deweese is still trying to get the move done, but he's been stuck behind him for about 5 laps now. He was the faster car when they were racing single file, but now that this battle is ongoing, he's not been able to find the move. A little further back, Brandon Ayers looking on the 87 of Clay Sampson. This is for 8th place. We've got Matthew Karakoff having some internet issues a little further back there in P10. He's going to stay in the session for now. It looks like the 87 will get that run on the top. Oh, he's in the wall a little bit. I don't make it back. Even out of the corner, he's in the wall again. Nearly a caution. We got some cars swerving back there.
Clay Sampson finding it difficult to handle this truck on these longer runs here. About 42 laps on the tires for the 87. Now has the 91 of Ryan Jones to the inside, and see how he can handle it here. Way high up on the track. He's going to get in the wall early. Now it's Rob Liedl looking to the inside. He'll get a good run. Doesn't quite get to the door here as Ryan Jones losing speed down the backstretch.
Well, he was in that wreck earlier, so the fact that he's in a top 10 position right now at all is some major driving work from that 91. We thought he was out of it not too long ago with some damage, but he's done a great job to get that thing back up through the field in a hurry and make it competitive again. 4 pit stops for him to try to beat the damage out of it, and it seems like he's finally got it driving pretty good right now in that 91 car. Looking on Matthew Karakoff, 1 spot ahead of him up here in 9th. For right now, he's trying to deal with the car inside of him. That's Rob Liedl in the 80.
Sampson just happy to be clear on the inside now. Doesn't have to run that high line here. Gives him a whole lot more room to enter turn 1. For the last
Deweese has the lead.
Oh, it is side by side. Deweese up on the high line now. Cox was able to get back around. It's interesting. Cox now down to the bottom of the track instead of running that high line here. Defending a little bit harder. Deweese all over the back bumper. Nearly some contact made. Keeping it clean for our leaders here. 2 seconds ahead of Chris French.
It'll be Deweese right back down to the bottom here with 30 to go. Working in the middle there with Cox on the top. He has done such a great job to hold off that 15 car by running all the way up on the wall. It seems to be faster right now, and Deweese hasn't been able to get the same level of speed off the corners while he's working the bottom. That has allowed the 54 to hold that line. Still hanging on to the top there for Levi Cox. He'll go right back up by the wall as Deweese tries to drift up into the middle. There's contact off the corner. We stay straight. We stay side by side down into T1.
Deweese is going to get that front bumper advantage here. Levi Cox not going to let him go. Has to lift, though. He noticed he's going to come up high on the track and get in the wall on corner exit there. Deweese now with sole control. And we've got one spinning around on the back stretch here. It's the 5.
Ooh, near misses for a couple cars there as he tried to get it back rolling. Caution with 28 to go is going to throw the pit strategy of this race into chaos for sure. We're going to get a replay here. What happened? He's working on Brandon Ayers back there around that 8th position. Contact between the 2 cars exiting the corner sends them both around, but the 5 pretty clearly getting the worst of it right there.
Robert Probst just, he found the momentum to get by Ayers, but just a little bit of contact there on the right rear from behind and ends up tagging the right side there of Brandon Ayers. Able to collect it back up, though. Good job by the 16 to not get into the wall, but certainly the 5 being the worst of the 2. Got a whole bunch of race cars bringing it down pit road, Sky, and look at this. It's our leaders.
That it is. We got a lot of cars making the move down. Levi Cox got a pushing Braxton Deweese down pit road there. It is going to be, looks like every single car in the field has pit, except for Rob Liedl. So that's what we're watching right now. We'll see who gets the first run off pit road. Levi Cox has that first pit stall, so he has the advantage on exit. But he won't be the first car off. Deweese and it looks like Chris French are going to beat him as well. So Levi Cox will have 2 cars on the same strategy to contend with, plus the car Rob Liedl, who hasn't pit yet.
That was an incredible stop by the team of the 15 and the 53. A full second faster than Levi Cox. Cox in the lane for 42.6 seconds. Chris French, 42.1. Braxton Deweese, 41.5. The fastest one down pit lane into the box and back out onto the track. And it shows here as Rob Liedl is going to start on 26 lap old tires here. But in control, that's going to be a big factor here for the 80 machine. Getting a good rolling start. Don't spin those tires up too much. Otherwise, you're likely going to collect well over half the field on this one.
Update on the car who was a little further up. Matthew Karakoff has disconnected from the race. He was running in the top 10. We saw him have some internet issues there on that last run that might have contributed to him pulling it into the pits and bowing out of this race. that is going to be one of your contenders there for a top 10 spot out of the race right now. He will join James Barker, Scotty Phillips, Jacob Phillips, and a few others out of the session. Back up front, we're going to go back green, and it'll be 25 to go. Rob Liedl is going to do his best on the top, but he's on 35-lap old tires. He's throwing up a prayer that this works out for him. We'll see what jump he can get on the restart, and if it buys him a little bit of time to get away from Braxton DeWeese in the 15. Green flag is out. He will get the jump to get clear. How long will it be before he's swallowed up by the field?
He's got a good jump off the bottom there as well. He's got to get clear of the 80 as soon as possible. You get sideways, coming out of 2. Contact with the inside wall. Green flag stays out. DeWeese all the way to the back of the field.
And that is going to end his race, barring a caution. Levi Cox back up front. Already around Chris French there to get the lead of the race. French now working around that 80 car. Liedl Pienta will come through as well. Something tells me DeWeese is not going to be very happy with the 80 car there. He got all bent out of shape trying to make sure he didn't run him over off the corner. Cars weaving back and forth down this back straightaway, trying to get some speed, trying to keep their cars under him. Brandon Ayers working the top, and now he's going to dump the 80 of Rob Liedl off the corner. Caution back out, and the 80 is into the fence.
Right across the stripe as well. That's a saving grace for the 15 of DeWeese. I was keeping an eye on that machine, and it was struggling to drive after putting the left rear of the truck into the wall. So this will be a good time for him to get some damage repaired. Now looking at the 80 machine. High up on the track and way slow on the speed. At the 11 of the inside, the 16 of Ayers to the, look to the inside. Almost made it 3 wide. Just ended up tagging that left rear a little bit too much.
Yeah, Ayers was trying to send it through the middle there and get the move done, but I think he just kind of misjudged it out of the corner, straight in to the rear of that 80 car, and that is going to be some pretty major damage for Rob Liedl. He was trying to stay up front, hoping he'd get himself a better position than where he was, but it will likely end up towards the back for him tonight with that damage, because he's only going to have less than 20 laps to try to figure it back out. Right now, it is Levi Cox back in the lead. Didn't take him too long to reclaim that first position. And with DeWeese having some major damage, he's going to have a good shot at this.
And not to discount the other drivers around Levi Cox right now, but he has not seen much competition from either Chris French or Evan Pienta. Rye Jones up here in the mix as well. But Levi Cox in a great position now is... DeWeese has fallen back in the field, like you said, with heavy damage. That was really the first contender we saw up here for the number 1 position.
It was. Chris French has been fast, but he hasn't been fast enough to pass that 54 car, and as the 15 is in the pits fixing damage, might be kind of the end of his hopes here of getting back to the front and winning this race, because even if he does get the damage fixed, he's got 20 cars he's still got to pass. We've lost about a third of the field here to going at least multiple laps down tonight. Been a race of attrition at Rockingham. And the last thing you want to do is make it to the last 20 laps and then have your race ruined by a crash. These guys are going to be trying really hard just to keep it in one piece and make it to the end while also trying to pick up some spots here late.
That last caution there will fall on the hands of the 16 of Brandon Ayers. So he will get an EOL penalty to restart this one as the pace car lights come off this time. But I will be green flag racing here one more time to start out lap 105, Sky.
We are certainly running out of laps left in this race for these cars up front. Who knows if we're going to see more cautions or if we'll manage to make it 18 green to the end. I think for Levi Cox up front, he wants it to go green. He knows that he has the better long-run speed than French, Pienta, Jones, everyone else up here with him. If he can get a long green flag run to the end, I think Levi Cox is going to be the driver who prevails. That is what he is hoping for. Rye Jones with some internet issues back there might concern him, though. Pace car will roll through 3 and 4 right now. Chris French will be on the inside. The leader has gotten such a great jump on basically every restart this race. We're going to see if that stays true again tonight. We're close on the start, but it's a great jump for the 54. He's clear, and he'll try to take Rye Jones with him down into 1.
Jones gets that advantage he wants over Chris French here. That high line will roll some more speed off of turn 2. He'll be clear down the backstretch, and it's a big shuffle just behind. Just inside that top 10. It's the 5 of Bropst getting sent back a little bit further now.
Side by side for a lot of these positions further back. Right here, this is Bropst. He's right in front of the 87 of Sampson and the 52 of Johnny Rapp. Looking for the final spot in the top 10 tonight. Car in the wall hard back there. Not sure who that was. That was the 6 of Dave Grajewski. Contact with the 14 of Tony Caputo. Great job by both of those cars to keep it straight and not bring out another caution here tonight. 7-car Paul Hahn running one spot behind him up to 17th tonight. Fastest lap of the race just run right now by Levi Cox in the 54. He has that thing moving, trying to pull away from Rye Jones.
23.858, Sky. That is screaming here late in this race. 10 laps on those tires seems to be the perfect temperature right now for the 54 of Cox. Ryan Jones not letting him get too far away, only separated by about a quarter of a second at the moment. But that's all that the 54 needs right now, especially if that 53 catches up and starts to challenge Ryan Jones for that second position. Jones is going to close that gap a little bit more here. Runs it a little bit higher on the track, though. A little bit further back is the 63 of Max Koss getting an advantage over Aiden Neese. Still a battle behind for the 5, the 87, and the 52.
And it's really impressive that Rye Jones has gotten this thing back up to second, because we mentioned he had 4 pit stops. He was involved in a wreck, took a lot of damage, and has had to work all the way back through the field just to get it back out on track. It has been a great run for him tonight, and even though second would be a great finish and a great recovery, he is thinking more about the win of this race than anything else. Right now, he's got to contend with Chris French near contact there down the back straightaway with 13 to go. 53 almost into the left rear of that 91 car.
Nicely done on French to keep it out of that left rear quarter panel, but he needs that extra position. Will he be able to get that momentum back around the 91 as he goes to the inside line here? Got Evan Pienta looking to charge up to the front as well as he's closed that gap up pretty good. Oh, and Johnny Rapp gets sent to the outside wall. Another one to the inside. It's the 87 of Sampson down the back stretch.
Caution is back out on lap 111, and that is going to be another chance for some of these cars to try and re-rack and get back up through the field. Paul Hahn, also some heavy damage there from a wreck while the caution was already out. We'll get to what happened here first. It's the 87 of Clay Sampson working behind Dylan Lebeau, Johnny Rapp side by side for position back here. Going off down into turn 1. 87 comes off the bottom, and oh, it's a Rapp into the fence, into Lebeau, almost into the air, and then into the side of the 87, and that piles in James Danforth. It's going to pile in, I believe that is Chris Smith back there having an awful race. And then Paul Hahn further back took a pretty big hit to the inside wall, and he's got some major damage on that car as well.
Sky, there's only a handful of cars at this point that don't have some sort of damage on it. And we're finding them all up here at the front of the pack, excluding the 91 of Ryan Jones. Levi Cox was able to keep it clean all race. The 53 of French has kept it clean all race. Pienta, you think he got mixed up in one, but got the damage repaired, and he's back up here in the top 5. Brian Bropst claims that last position in the top 5. Sky, we're inside 10 to go on this restart. Do you think that any of these drivers have what it takes to catch up to the 54 of Cox in the late runnings of this race?
I think the short run kind of favors the drivers who aren't Levi Cox, because if you're behind him, you're starting right next to him. If you can get a dive bomb down into one of these corners, you might try to be able to make something happen. That's not something you could do on lap 116, 117. If Cox has time to run away from you, you're not going to be able to pull that desperate move. You need to be able to be close enough on the last lap if you want to try to claim something from this race. Pace car lights will go off, so it'll pull in, and we'll go back green on lap 115, marking 9 laps to go. 54 is just going to have to try to pull away here.
So a little bit of a switch up coming from Levi Cox. We've seen him start on the outside line more times than not. I think this is the second time the 54 has elected for that bottom line. So he's going into defense mode here. This will be a big change up for Levi Cox. Ryan Jones needs to really focus on getting a really good restart here. Chris French will try to stay all over the back bumper on the restart. Evan Pienta, he's kind of in a bad position here because you have to wait for the 91 to get going. You don't want to run him over immediately. It's going to be a difficult one, to say the least.
We've seen cars struggle when they're second to get moving on these restarts all race. But that is the best try anyone's had yet, and Ryan Jones is right on the door, and they're wrecking behind him. We're going to stay green. It's Dave Grajewski narrowly avoiding the inside wall and then going around anyway in turn one, trying to rejoin the racetrack. Car in the wall hard back there, down the back straightaway. That, I believe, was the 5 car. We're going to have to check in on that, but back up front, Levi Cox has gotten clear after all.
Cox was able to find the speed across the bottom. Ryan Jones now trying to charge with the middle lane. Chris French still trying to claim that top 3 position, but Evan Pienta's not going to make it easy all over the back bumpers. They're both catching up now to the 91. Close that gap down into turn number 3. French is going to be all over the back bumper here out of turn 4, across the start-finish line. French into the wall just a touch, looking for a window here to get around Ryan Jones.
Laps are closing down for him to do it. We've got 7 to go right now. It'll be 6 to go at the line next time by, and Levi Cox is in another zip code already. Pulled out 0.6 of a second there to Ryan Jones and Chris French. The main battle on the track is for second because that 54 car is checking out. 6 to go, battle for P6. It is Dylan Lebeau up the inside of the 11 of Brian Brobst, who's going to try the crossover back down here onto the back straightaway. He'll get that done as we go side by side for second. Chris French has gone up the inside of Ryan Jones, and he's driven him all the way up the road, trying to make something happen there. But the 91 has speed out the corner. He'll hold the line. 5 to go.
French had to check up just a touch there. I thought he was going to lose that third place position to Evan Pienta. Pienta couldn't find a way around. French struggling off corner exit. Pienta looks to the inside, thinks better of it. He'll back it down into turn number 3, and French all the way up to the top side of the track. Pienta getting a maximized line there with a bunch of clean air, utilizing that bottom lane. He's getting closer there. I think Pienta's going to have a little bit of something here at the end of this one for French.
He is. Pienta was in the wall about a lap and a half ago, but he's already got it back going. Clearly not too much damage from that scrape. And as we come to 3 to go this time around, that 55 car is lurking, trying to get onto the podium here in that Evan Pienta Designs machine. We're going to take 3 to go, and Levi Cox is gone. Ryan Jones pretty solidly in second, but we're not all set for third between French, Pienta, Chase Berry. Dive bomb for Pienta up the inside.
15 of DeWeese a little bit further back, gets loose in front of the 63 of Cost and the 5 of Brobst. He's going to lose 3 positions here as the 66 makes a charge to the inside. DeWeese stuck up on the outside. 2 laps to go here at Rockingham to settle the beer talk in 123.
We'll be coming to the white flag here in just a second. Max Cost will drop it down in front of that 5. He was in the fence not too long ago on this run. He's got some damage on that thing. DeWeese is trying to work his way back into the top 10 near contact. These guys are going to take the white flag presented by Whiplash Simcams back up front. No need to worry about that kind of racing for Levi Cox. He's got half a lap to go. He's 1.2 seconds clear of Rye Jones. He's got the Cody Glenn Cox music sponsor on the back of that truck, and Levi Cox is going to come around to win in the Cody Glenn Cox Beer Talk in 123.
What a race. A whole lot of yellow flags coming out tonight. Could have certainly changed the course of this one, but through perseverance, the 54, he took home that Evan Pienta Designs pole award. And then, of course, taking home that checkered flag at the end of it all. What a night for the 54.
And he was the fastest car all night long, too. Led pretty much every race that was not, or every lap that was not a pit stop lap. He did such a good job to manage this race to win it. A little bit of extracurricular down on the pit road, and Levi Cox is going to turn around, and he will get back to celebrating here on the start-finish line.
Only one other driver was able to make it into that 23.8 second bracket, and that is the fourth place finisher, Evan Pienta, with a 23.895 against Levi Cox with that 23.858 that we saw so late in the race.
As Levi Cox burns it down, we're going to take you to some quick commercials. When we'll come back, we'll have results and interviews from the top three. Stay right here.
Hey partner, I'm Barry, your pocket crew chief, the very first AI-powered mechanic for sim racing. Got a car that's a little loose or tight? Just tell me how it's handling, and I'll whip up instant setup recommendations just for you. Want me to get even more precise? Snap a picture of your setup, and I'll fine-tune it to perfection. And hey, I'm not just about giving orders. I'll explain why every adjustment matters, so you can really understand your ride. I'll even teach you the science behind the setup. Ever wonder why the track bar is so important? I've got the answer. With Pocket Crew Chief, I'll make you smarter, faster, and race ready. So what are we waiting for? Let's build to win.
We are back here in the Spark Racing League, and we're going to get you the results of this race here in just a second. But you just saw it. Our winner tonight, from pole to checkered, is Levi Cox, followed up by Rye Jones, who went from 8th to the back in an accident, back up to 2nd. Finished there. Chris French from 26th to 3rd. Great race for him. Evan Pienta dodged some of the chaos to get P4. Great run, plus 22 for Chase Berry. Dylan Lebeau will take 6th. Brian Brope 7th. Aiden Neese 8th. Braxton DeWeese 9th. And Max Cost rounds out your field in 10th.
Behind our top 10, it's the 5 of Robert Bropes taking up the 11th position, followed up by the 66 of Derek Smith in 12th. Brandon Ayers in the 16 takes home the 13th position. Then we've got the other Smith in the 28, Chris Smith taking home 14th. Tony Caputo in the 14 takes home 15th, with Steve Vest in the 60 right behind. Paul Hand in the 7 takes home the 17th position, up a couple positions as well. Paul Thomas gains 14 for the 42 to take home the 18th spot. Johnny Rapp, one of our bigger losers of the night here, down 12 positions. The 52 takes home 19th. And last but not least, in our top 20, it's the 88 of James Danforth.
Last couple cars on the lead lap tonight will be Rob Liedl in 21st, Dave Grajewski in 22nd, and then cars who did not finish the race, 23rd on back, it's Clay Sampson, James Barker, Jake Mackey, Matthew Karakoff, Tom Lickert, Scotty Phillips, Jacob Phillips, Zachary Mitchell, and then your last three will be Nathan Gentry, Laura Wiseman, and Sean Mulholland, all out very early with some accidents. We are going to pull the top three up here into the booth, and we will start with your race winner tonight. That'll be Levi Cox in the 54. Hey, Levi, how you doing? Levi, do you have a copy?
I do.
All right, how you doing? You had the fastest car all race, led almost every lap. What'd you have to do to get that kind of speed tonight?
Sure, I'm sweaty first off. Yeah, I don't know, taking it easy, letting the car roll in there without using much brake and wrapping the bottom until tires get worn or had to defend, and then use that high line to defend.
This track's really bumpy, kind of always wears out tires. How does that play a role in your strategy here tonight?
Yeah, definitely just trying to ease it off into the corner and take care of the right front. Had a couple decent long green flag run there, and I was thinking we're going to have a green flag pit stop, but that never happened. So definitely had to conserve and just be aware that those long runs to pop up and go a long way. So.
Well, this is the Cody Glenn Cox Beer Talk in 123, and you got Cody Glenn Cox there on the side of the car. Does that make it any more special for you?
Oh yeah, today was very exciting. I don't know, I've never had my brother sponsor a race before, so I just wanted to do him proud, and it made it a little more fun, a little more special for myself.
All right, anyone else you want to thank or shout out tonight?
All the guys over at Big Fast Racing, Mythic Metals, #1 hero cards, Overcut, still graphics and designs for the truck that they gave me this week, free of charge. So that was very special, and I appreciate it very much. And then, of course, Cody Glenn Cox Music on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Go check him out. Go give him a like and let him know that y'all seen him here. I know that'll make him feel good.
All right, congrats on the win tonight, Levi Cox.
Thanks, sir.
And following that up, we are going to throw it over to Logan. He has caught up with our second place finisher tonight, Rye Jones.
Yeah, we got Ryan Jones down here on the second step of the podium. Ryan Jones, if there, you might not have taken home the Hard Charger Award, but if there was an award for the most cars passed on the night, I think the 91 takes it home. Tell us about your night where you started up here towards the front of the pack, got a little bit mixed up all the way to the back, and then you drove through everybody to claim this second spot tonight.
Yeah, it was really aggravating and tiring, but a lot of fun. This is a very fun racetrack. It has multiple grooves. I can only hope that they would never change it, but I'm sure they will at some point with the real life repave. Yeah, just I was hoping it could have gone green pretty much the whole way, because I think I had something in it for Levi. Even at the first run, I was catching him on the long run, and caution came out. We all pitted, got tires, and there was a big old accident in front of me on the restart, and that set me back a little bit. Had to pit multiple times to fix all the damage, and just kind of kept fighting as painful as it was, and was just still able to kind of maneuver all the drama. And honestly, it was kind of lucky that I had some drama, because that kind of helped give me time to fix everything and get back up in the mix. And at the end of it was just kind of avoiding everything else and getting good restarts. And yeah, and then I was just able to kind of hold on for dear life at the end. I knew I was pushing hard, and Levi just got the better restart on that last one, and I started getting kind of tighter than I thought I would, and just didn't have anything for him there at the end.
Well, you put up a great fight no matter what to come back all the way up here to the number 2 position. It's no easy feat here on Wednesday nights. Now we're going to switch things up pretty crazy next week, going all the way up to Pennsylvania, to Pocono for race number 3 on the season. After the performance tonight, how do you feel about taking this Driven Bay Life 91 Toyota to the hills of Pocono?
Well, I feel good tonight. I'm glad I was still able to finish up front and get a good finish that I felt was kind of deserving, especially how I had a good long run truck. But Pocono's tough for me. I'm gonna have to do some extra laps on it to kind of figure it out. It's they call it the tricky triangle for a reason, and it's definitely tricky for me. But we'll go in there and hopefully do good and just have some fun. That's what it's all about.
Just be ready for that tunnel turn is all I can say. Ryan Jones, congratulations on P2 tonight. The floor is yours. Who do you have to thank?
Oh, thanks, guys. I got to appreciate y'all for putting on the show. I can't wait to watch the replay, and thanks Slingshot for everything they do. Thank all the sponsors and thank the Payday teammates. I can't thank everybody enough for putting it all together. I know it takes a lot of hard work, and thanks everybody for the fun racing. We'll do it again next week.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations once again, Ryan. Go celebrate, buddy. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Well, folks, that leaves us with one more to go, and that's going to be our 3rd place finisher, Chris French, who Sky Shrek is now standing by with.
Hey, Chris, you got me?
I've got you.
You had to go from 26th up to 3rd tonight. It was a huge drive through the field, and you did it while dodging the chaos of those 9 cautions. How'd you get it done?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was just trying to be patient. That's something I've really tried to work on, and tire management, I think, came into it. And then a little bit of wreck avoidance, too. I think I was just one wreck in particular in turn 3. I just had managed to pick the right line going in there, so I was able to dodge it. So I think those are the main things that was able to help me out, was just being patient, managing the tires, and just trying to keep it clean.
Yeah, managing the tires always tricky at a track like this. How'd you manage that over the course of the runs here?
Yeah, it's something I've really had to learn. I ran the last season that we had trucks, and that was something I really struggled with. And over time, I've just figured out trying to keep the wheel out of it, kind of let it coast where it wants to go, and keep the wheel light in your hand, and then try to manage the throttle in spots, and just try to figure out on the track where the main points are to try and ease into the throttle and just be as smooth as you can.
All right, well, you had a great finish tonight, but you were mixing it up with Rye Jones there at the end, trying to get that lead. What were you thinking on those last few restarts, trying to move up?
Yeah, well, I was thinking I was going to try and pass him, but Rye's pretty good at defense, and at turn 2 especially, I tried taking a line, and he just had that perfect line, a lane or 2 up, where on exit he was able to take the speed away. So in the middle of the corner and through exit, I'm able to get into the throttle a lot better and kind of drive it off, but he just had a good position there. So I was more so trying to put pressure on him to see if he'd make a mistake, but he knows what he's doing, and he did a great job playing defense there, and it worked out for him.
All right, anyone you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, shout out to all the Spark guys for putting this on. It's a lot of effort for them to do this, and this is the best ran league I've come across. And there's a lot of good people in it, and thank you guys for putting this on and putting all the effort in. Shout out to localmobilehomebuyer.com. They'll buy your mobile home in any state of the United States. La Lajita Mexican Restaurant in White Pine, Tennessee. Cody Glenn Cox Music. He's touring with Travis, well, now I'm forgetting, but one of the big country stars. You don't get to go on a tour like that unless you're legit. So check him out on YouTube or Spotify. And shout out to all the Big Fast guys and Number One Hero Cards and Overcut Sim Planner. It's awesome to have some good folks to race with, and that's all throughout the league. No matter where you're running, there's always someone that's at your skill level and someone that you can battle with.
All right, congrats on the podium tonight, Chris French.
Thank you, guys.
That was an absolutely wild race. You got any final thoughts on what we just watched, Logan?
It was quite the slobber knocker out there, Sky. 9 cautions equaling 28 laps under yellow flag conditions, and certainly mixed up the strategy calls from multiple drivers, but at the end of it all, they all ended up on the same strategy. Most of this field finishing out on a 26-lap stint. Made things real interesting there at the end, but Levi Cox just dominated the whole race in a extraordinary fashion. 110 laps is, just unheard of sometimes, but Levi Cox able to put on a show here for his brother in the Cody Glenn Cox Beer Talking 123. Sky, I'm excited to get on through the rest of the schedule. Pocono is one of my favorite tracks. Really happy to see that one next week.
It'll be a lot of fun for sure. It's a very unique track, similar to how Rockingham is, so that'll be another really big challenge for a lot of these drivers. If you enjoyed tonight's coverage, be sure to like and subscribe to Slingshot Racing Media to catch everything here in the Spark Racing League and in the Mythic Metals Truck Series. For everyone behind the scenes at Spark and Slingshot Racing Media, for Logan and Kobe up here in the booth with me, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you at Pocono next week. Have a good night.